Hi. um, Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're talking about what to expect and the experience of having a Saturn return. So I'm going through mine now, and I feel like I can feel that Saturn is here now. And it's about a month before my 30th birthday, and I can sense that Saturn is coming into full establishment at this time. And it's nothing like what I've read. It's nothing like other videos that I've seen that talk about what to expect when expecting Saturn to return. Now, the best way that I can help you visualize it is by thinking of photography. I used to do black and white photography when I was in high school. We would go around. Our photography teacher would take us all over Durban, and we would just take pictures and look at the architecture of buildings and basically just experiment with the camera, try different angles, try different lighting setups, all of those wonderful things. And then we would go back with that roll of undeveloped film into the darkroom. We would then turn the negatives into positives. We would develop the negatives. And after the negatives are developed, you could see the pictures on that black roll of film. That's kind of like what it's like before your Saturn returns. It's like Saturn, in order for Saturn to return, he's not there. So by the very fact that he's not there, that gives you the freedom to experiment and to see different things and to do different things. And that can be a dangerous thing as well as a good thing. It's good because you get to explore your emotions, what you think about things, how you feel about the world, and put them into practice. And that's why oftentimes you'll find that before the age of 29, you will see yourself, you will identify yourself with what you think and what you believe. A great example is when I was a teenager, I really wanted to become some kind of, I want to say monk. I wanted to be a priest. I wanted to go to the mountains somewhere and live in an abbey and only, take a vow of silence for a period of time and only spend my life meditating. So, because I had this feeling that meditation was a really important part of life, I wanted to make my career out of meditating, becoming a priest. That's extreme. And that's understandable because Saturn is not there to help you put the boundaries in place, boundaries between the self and the mind and the spirit. So it's almost like just going around and taking pictures, experimenting, trying different things, just seeing the world through different angles, right? Now, what I've noticed since I've been aware of my Saturn return is that the boundaries between what I think and how I am are becoming more clearly defined. So imagine taking all of these pictures, developing them, the negatives, and then you have these strip, an outline, because that's all negatives are, right? An outline. You don't really see the full picture. So I would say around the age of 28, for me it was 27 and a half, I could see the negatives. that whole process of taking pictures and developing them, by 27 and a half, I could see the negatives. But now you have to actually make the picture. So what we would normally do is we would take those negatives and we would put them in a projector, and it would make the picture bigger. And you'd take a white piece of photographic paper, lay it underneath the projector, and you would either pull it up to make the picture bigger or push it down to make it smaller, and then you focus the picture to make sure that it's crystal clear. And then as soon as you're ready, you turn on the projector light, and the light burns through the negative and onto the photographic paper. Now that's kind of like how your mind works, because you have ideas and then you develop the negatives in your mind, but only you can see them, just the outline. And then with your Saturn return, it starts turning the projector on and showing you in reality whether or not the picture you see in your mind matches the picture that's showing on the paper in reality, right? Because you want to take that picture out and show it to people. You want to display it. You want to enjoy what you've planned, what you've taken, the images that you've conjured in your mind. Now, the period that I feel Saturn return really gets into gear is the period that can be likened to the moment you take that picture and you put it into the developer. Because once you only switch it on for about 5 seconds, and once you turn it off, the paper is still white, the photographic paper. It just needs to be developed. So there are 3 baths: a developing bath, the stock bath, and the fixer. And this is where I feel Saturn lives, really. Because now, when you get to about 28, 29, you start to see the picture emerge in reality. And it's so fun because when you're developing a picture, you have that red light on, the safe light on, and you can actually see the shadows emerge first out of that white image. And going through life is like a loss of innocence. You start off pure with your ideas, with your values, with what you think the world should be like. And then over time, Saturn shows you, or the world shows you what it's like. And I say Saturn shows you because through the absence of Saturn in its natal house, where it feels at home, through its absence, if you focus, you can find the value and importance of it. I mean, when you're hungry, the absence of food, you find and you feel the importance of food by not having any. Same with Saturn. By Saturn not being home, you feel the absence. And usually it's the darkest parts that start showing. And that's the part that people say is so traumatizing, and that they say really changes your life and can be traumatic. It can also be tumultuous. So the shadows start as gray, light gray in photography. And the longer you keep the picture or the paper in the developer, the darker it goes until you see the full picture, because you need dark and light to see a picture. I mean, the Taoist movement figured it out. The yin and yang sign It's black and white, not black or white. Both together create reality. So we need dark and light to create reality. Otherwise, it's just a blank piece of paper, which is white. But if you leave the picture in the developer too long, it goes completely black, which is also a problem. That's why in the yin and yang sign, they have a dot of black in the white side and a dot of white on the black side. We need them all. We need them both. And I think so much of your life before your Saturn return is you trying to pick a side. You are trying to navigate your cognitive dissonance that arises from the fact that anything you do and everything you do is always going to have a little bit of dark in it. That's just the nature of our reality in this dimension that we're in. And when you get to your Saturn return, you accept that and you realize it's necessary. However, the only thing that separates the dark and the light are boundaries. And it's very important to pay attention to Saturn, because as soon as your picture is developed, you need to take it out and put it into the stop bath. The stop bath stops the process from going on. And that's what I feel starts to happen with Saturn return. It starts to help you realize that, okay, you've seen how far you can push things and what you like, what you don't like, and what does it mean? And when you see the picture develop and you catch it, that's when Saturn says, okay, let's take this and hang it up. And after the stop bath, you go into the fixer. The fixer just keeps the picture stable so it doesn't, corrode or anything over time. It's like it sets it, like when you do your setting spray. So if you look at it more as a process of taking information from your mind, information that is untethered to this earth, this reality, and bringing that into physical manifestation, that is the power of Saturn return. And it's really sad because before you get to your return, you sometimes want to give up, and you're faced with a lot of challenges, and it's understandable. And I know that a lot of us don't make it. A lot of us get taken by that boundaryless existence. And the 27 Club is there for a reason. It's not some strange phenomena. And it's interesting that it's the 27 Club, when if they just waited one more year, everything would have started to make sense with Saturn's return. And the fact that we made it, we actually made it, that's a cause to celebrate. And that's why I don't think that it's as traumatic as a lot of the information out there makes it seem. Is it horrible? Yes. It's like a horror movie where horrifying things happen to you, but just like the hero, just like Sidney Prescott in Scream, you make it. I mean, how many times has that killer been coming for her? 4 movies worth. And she always makes it. That's you. The knife could be right here, but when Saturn returns, you will make it. Now, like I always say, the planets don't make you do anything. This is all contingent on you paying attention and thinking about what your picture is in your mind that you're developing. And if what you're doing is working to develop that picture. If it's not, then you know what you need to do. It could be scary. It is going to be a lot of hard work, because you're essentially now not just living in the dream world, you are taking your dreams from the dream world and making them real. So it's a process of manifestation. And in mythology, Saturn rules the planet. I mean, when you look at the history of the continents, they talk about Pangaea, and Pangaea was when all the continents were connected together. And the Dogon people of Africa believed that Saturn was the true sun, or the light source of the planet. Some people say that the light source was like a purple color, ultraviolet, or like twilight. And during Saturn's rule on Earth, there was always vegetation. There were no seasons. There was no winter, summer, autumn. It was always green, kind of like a grow house. So when Saturn returns, it's like a harvest. It's a bountiful harvest. And just be there. I feel like that's what Saturn wants us to know. Be there for the harvest. The harvest is coming. Be there for the fruits of your labor. And when you feel Saturn, it's just a joyous feeling. And when you feel it, whatever you've gone through, whatever you're going through now that seems horrible, it will be worth it. If only for the fact that you made it. So I really want to know what you guys think, especially if you're part of my group who was born in 1989 and you're going through your return, or peaking really right now. What do you think? How does it feel for you? And if you're coming up to your return, maybe 24, 25, that's when it really gets painful. So how are you feeling right now? And if there's anything, or if there's one thing I could say to you, especially if you're around 21, I would say, is when it starts to cook you. Not Saturn, the absence of Saturn starts to cook you. And 25, you're really getting cooked. And then maybe 28, you are fried. And then you see it, you see the picture, and all of that work makes sense. So if there was one thing I would say to you, is just wait it out. So tell me how you feel and what you think. I'm really curious to know. I know this is something quite different from what we normally do, but it's a really important transition that we all go through. And as a creative, I feel lucky to have chosen a life path that allows for me to pay attention and take note of these things. And for all of you who don't have that luxury, who have to work 17 hours a day in the medical field or in law, or jobs that take you away from thinking about who you are and why you're here, that's where my job comes in, being a creative. I'm here to go through those journeys and then report back to you, because essentially I work for you. So I'd love to know how you feel and what you think. So leave a comment and I'll respond and get back to all of you soon. Okay.